So, as many of you may know, the writers and actors are on strike together for the first time in over 50 years. And today we have a guest who is an actor. So, for those of you chomping at the bit to hear what they have to say about acting and projects, that won't be a part of this interview. Solidarity looks like not talking about projects or doing any sort of promo. So everything is kind of ground to a halt, which actually, I don't know if you felt this way, Babette, but I feel like we got to really talk to them
as like a person
about who they are. Yeah. Apart from their function in this capitalist society, you know?
Totally. Or it's just like, I think people get entangled with their work and it's like, you're not your work. And so it was just great to talk to like a really smart and amazing person about their gender. And it's a strike girl summer. So there's so many strikes happening across so many industries.
Exactly.
So exciting. Worker power. Ali, have you had any personal involvement in the strike? What does that look like for you as someone who's kind of in the entertainment industry?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. The company that I work for most is definitely not part of the AMPTP, but we're definitely on strike. We've halted like all shooting and everything like that. I think maybe the best thing that I've read recently was last month. There's a Wired article from Madeline Ashby, and it's called Hollywood's Future Belongs to People, Not Machines. And it was such a good read. It really goes into kind of this like Silicon Valley way of thinking that has taken over.
Optimizing.
Yes.
Right.
Taken over so many industries. The people at the top have found ways to cut full positions to increase their enormous wealth, and we're just kind of really seeing that in the UPS strike, as you said, all the strikes that are going on in chorus in this really cool way.
Right. And today's guest, I don't even know if I could say it. Like, you might know them from a show called Schmeloschmackets, which I was so excited about. Like, I'm a huge fan. But like we were talking about, it was just so amazing to talk to them just as a person, as a fellow non-binary person. Ali, how did you actually meet our guest today? Like, how are you able to get them on the show?
I actually met them on their podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have a mutual friend named Jasmine, and she asked me to be on her podcast. So I met them doing the Homo Schedule, which is another gay podcast. It was very fun.
Hell yeah.
And then through that, we became friends.
Amazing. Okay, let's get into the interview. Am I even queer?
I think I want to take testosterone. I mean, I'm wearing men's underwear right now.
Is that a boy? Is that a girl?
Man, woman, cisgender, transgender, like we're born into language.
Butch, femme, T-girl.
Decolonized.
Queer, trans, BIPOC.
Neurodivergent.
Cisgender, heteropatriarchal, capitalist, girl boss.
Queer femme, lipstick every day.
T for T, like fag boy relationship. Butch.
Boyish, like sprightly.
The softer, more fey.
Oh, but you're so feminine. You're so feminine.
Attraction to a hot T-boy.
I used sexuality to try to understand my gender.
What does it look like for non-binary people to quote-unquote transition?
I was a boy. If I was looking down at the memory, I was a boy.
It's really difficult to look at gender identity head on.
Wait, I think I'm trans.
My name is Liv. I'm non-binary. My pronouns are they, them. That's the headline, generally speaking, I think, always. It's like, okay, quick
Right.
1, 2, 3, that covers the bases.
Yeah. Well, this is a politics podcast, so I
Amazing.
don't know why you brought gender.
What are you obsessed with gender for? Get alive!
Exactly.
Okay, so you have been out as a non-binary for a while, right?
Yeah.
When did you first come out?
Well, it happened in layers for me. I told my friends when I was 16. And so for like the back end of my teens, like my friends were using they, them pronouns for me, and that was it. And like I knew that about myself. But my understanding of like what was possible for me as a non-binary person was like, well, this is about as much as I can get away with probably.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told everybody else when I was like 22, 23. So coming out for me was like a process and continues to be a process that has more layers to it as my understanding of what is possible for myself changes. And now I'm at a place where it's been like 11 years since I've had an understanding of myself as non-binary, since I've known how I want to be spoken about, since I've known what my gender feels like for me and how settled that is. I mean, I had top surgery like just over a year ago, so that's another piece of it too. It's like, so it's complicated talking about coming out for me, because it's, in some ways it happened quite early, but then it took forever to completely integrate bits of my life into one piece. And then my body and my brain, like, things didn't coalesce properly until like maybe about a year ago, maybe like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Right.
It's been a long time and a short time.
How would your 16-year-old definitions or ideas about yourself being non-binary compare to now? Like, could you kind of take us through how those things like are different and how, like you said, they coalesce? Like, what does that kind of look like for you? Like, what is
I'm still kind of like puzzling it out. I mean, the position that I'm in now in terms of like how I feel about myself and how I move through the world and what my understanding of my gender and my body and like what's possible for me is so different from when I was younger. Like, I would not be able to explain my life to myself at that age. And that's a thought exercise that my therapist and I do all the time, because I think it's really useful. I didn't think...
In what way? Like, it's so good?
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, oh, the possibilities open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't think of myself as having possibilities when I was younger. Like, when I was younger, my understanding was like, well, this is not going to be good. This is good for me on a personal level, but this is a lot of closed doors and like a lot of walls in front of me, and everything just felt kind of impossible. Like, there was something about the world that felt inherently hostile to me. Like, I felt resigned almost. It's like, well, all right. Wasn't a sense of like movement or joy or freedom about it necessarily. It was like, okay, it's a good thing I understand this about myself, and I can't do anything with it at all.
Right.
Whereas now it's so radically different. I feel like nothing but possibility and like nothing but freedom and movement. And it's on every level, like psychological, physical, social. I feared when I was younger that everything was very closed, and that I was going to have to live my life from like a reactive place as hostility or obstacles or like shutdown came at me. And like that, when I thought about my life, that's just all I could see. Whereas now, when I think about the future, I think about like expanse and reaching out for things and like giving things out, and it doesn't feel threatening anymore.
Oh my God.
Yeah, seriously.
That was really amazing.
What kind of things do you think changed your thought around this from like, oh, I have this kind of like curse to gift? Like, now it feels like amazing. I mean, was it top surgery? Was it like friend groups? Was it moving to a bigger city, or like...
Yeah. A lot of it had to do with like connecting with other people, living from a position of like shut down and limit, where it's like, oh, I can't tell anybody about this. I can't do anything with it. Like, I am alone. I'm like alienated and isolated, and like that. It's the antidote to that for me came through connecting to other people. Like, I think connection is generative. The more you get, the more you're able to give. And then the more you're able to give, the more you get. Other queer people have always been such a lifeline for me. And accessing a larger sense of history as well was really, really important and continues to be really important. And then being able to provide those things for other people also like makes me feel stronger and more capable and more like in the world. Yeah, it was just always about like finding ways to be in the world. Like, I don't even know if that makes sense as I'm saying it out loud, but that's how it feels, like feeling like a participant in my own life, I think, like feeling sort of actualized. And top surgery was a big part of that, but top surgery was like the final boss of that, you know, that was like the last 500 meters of a very intense hike. You know, it's like, okay, this is the hardest, most final bit. And oh, look, we made it. Isn't the view nice? But lots of other things had to happen first in order to get me there.
Yeah. I don't know what meters are, but...
Sure, of course.
We've talked to a lot of people. I think there's this really interesting thing coming up about top surgery specifically, where people have been saying, like, I waited so long. And I
Yeah.
really identify with that, where I'm like, oh my gosh, the relief I felt immediately. I think Devin Price a few weeks ago talked about this, where it was like, already I don't have to think about, like, what am I going to wear? Like, how feverishly am I going to work out? And just
Yeah.
kind of like this
Mhm.
pressure.
Mhm.
But it is also true that, like, it is a giant surgery. Like, I
It's
think
huge.
there's, like, it makes sense that you waited a long time
Mhm.
on that. So, yeah, I think that people who transition really early face this pressure of, like, are you sure? Are you sure? You're so young. How can you make a choice for yourself? And if you wait, then you're like, wow, so much missed time. I could have, transitioned so much earlier. And I think that's really interesting. It's like everyone just needs to be 1,000% easier on themselves.
Oh God,
Like-
so much. It's like, aren't we
Totally.
fucking going through enough? For God's sake.
No, for real.
And for me, I know exactly what you mean. I literally did wait a long time. I knew that it was something that I wanted and that would help me. And then I didn't do anything about it for 10 years. It's the longest I've ever thought about anything. I'm very impulsive, but not about this, because I tortured myself over it for a long time. And it's like, that's true. And it's also true that it happened when I was ready, when I did feel like capable and strong and ready to engage with myself as I am, like be in the world in a way that feels like honest to my internal experience. Like, I did have to sift through a lot of things before I was ready to have surgery.
Yeah.
So it's like, God, that took forever. And also, that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm so much
Yeah.
happier now.
Yeah.
The thing that struck me so much, and I love talking to other people who've had to have surgery about this, because it's like, oh, the clothes thing. And like, oh yeah, then how, like this, your sensation coming back if you got the kind that lets you keep some. But what really took my breath away was like, oh, my posture's different. Like, I stand differently. Knots in my back that used to be there weren't there anymore. I got some new ones because my shoulders were in a different place. It's like my body spent like 6 months figuring out how to stand.
Oh my God.
And that just never occurred to me until it was happening, and it's the best.
Yes, my body didn't autocorrect, so honestly, I'm proud of you. I still find myself standing in a way that I have, like, my whole life.
Yeah.
That's this, like, kind of, like, shrouding hunch, you know, that I'm just kind of, like, so used to. And I don't know if you guys get these, like, targeted ads on Instagram, but I feel like every single one for me is about posture, and I'm like, okay, like,
That's so funny.
leave me alone. It's like little gadgets that you, like, tape to your spine that remind you to, like, sit up straight or something. But yeah, that's definitely
So
still
funny.
something for me.
A friend of mine runs a binder company, and I started getting targeted ads for their binders, but like after I had surgery, I was like, I don't need this anymore. Like, I want to.
Yeah, a little too
It's
late.
my friend's business, but like I can't. It's beyond me now.
Honestly, I still think about wearing my binder even post-op surgery, because I'm just like, it's a good look at the beach.
That's true.
I think that's like a
is.
beautiful, like, timeless silhouette. And now I don't have the, like, relationship with it. You know, it's been like years for me, so I'm not like, oh my God, get that away from me. Like,
Mhm.
that's the thing I would have to, like, struggle out of in the car the second I left somewhere,
Oh,
you know, like,
God.
just
Yeah.
so awful. But now I'm like, ooh, I kind of love it. It's a beautiful object. It's hanging on my wall in my bedroom, actually.
That's
It's
sick.
so nasty. It's insane that my girlfriend lets me do that.
I
That's
love
so
that.
funny.
Yeah, it's a beautiful relic.
I guess I'm wondering, you know, it can be really difficult for trans folks to access surgery. I think that's like part of what takes so long is sometimes, you know, the decision making, but also like the bureaucratic processes
Oh,
and
yes.
all of that shit or whatever. And I finally actually just got my surgery date for an aggressive breast
go.
reduction in January.
Oh my God.
Thrilling, exciting,
Hell yeah.
very
Nice.
excited. Been figuring out like care logistics and stuff like that. But what's really funny is that this whole time I was going through the process trying to do it kind of the trans way and thinking that it would be easier, because sometimes if you ask for a normal breast reduction, they're like, you need to go to physical therapy for 5
my
years or
God.
something like that. So I would like something crazy. And so I was doing it the trans way, like got my therapist letter. I did all of the things. Turns out I'm still have my parents' insurance. I have 1 year left. And it turns out my insurance doesn't cover any gender affirming care, which like I thought was illegal, but like literally like
In
none. Like where my
California?
dad works. Yes, where my dad works, it's like this big engineering company, like no
Wow.
gender affirming care. But what's crazy is I went to the doctor and I have like an L cup. Like they're really, really big. And I went and doing it the non-gendered way, like just like the woman way, I immediately got accepted. That's how I immediately got it. So I was like, this world literally hates trans people. Like, it's
because
so nuts.
cis people access gender affirming care
Like,
literally all the time.
Like, it's the same procedure. Like, I'm getting the same procedure either way, but the way that was like, you know, for trans people is harder. So that's a long-winded way of asking, like, what was that process kind of like for you for like choosing a surgeon and getting a date? And like, were you able to find a surgeon that was affirming towards like non-binary people? Because I know like non-binary surgery is also a specific thing, you know?
Yeah, the clinic that I worked with, what attracted me to them specifically was literally that they had experience working with non-binary patients and operated under the informed consent model. And I was like, great, thank you so much. I won't be looking at anyone else.
For listeners who don't know, can you explain that model, the informed consent?
I hope I don't like botch too much of the academic language around it, but it's basically like we explain what the procedure is to you and then you say, yes, please. And then we believe you about that, as opposed to, okay, but go see a psychiatrist for X amount of time and jump through X amount of hoops to make sure that you are sure, because ultimately nobody actually wants you to do this. It's just like, no, here's what the procedure is. Do you want it? It's like, yes, I do. Like, okay, great. Done.
Oh, like we trust that you've done your own research here. I had to do all the hoops. Okay, that's so sick.
But the informed consent model is basically like we inform, you consent, and we're all adults, so that's fine. Yeah.
Right. That's amazing. So it was pretty like smooth sailing with them because they treated you like a human being.
Yeah. And I mean, that's not to say that it was fine, because like it's still very administrative and bureaucratic, and like it's a lot of like forms, it's a lot of back and forth. So it wasn't like stressless, but it wasn't like charged in a way that felt personal. I never felt like I had to explain myself or make a plea to anyone, you know?
Yeah.
And that is an experience that I'm very grateful to have had.
Yeah, totally. I felt like I was really educating people every step of the way. Like I was maybe the first non-binary trans person that anyone had ever met. Like I just walked through there being like, I should fucking send a Venmo request to every single person I've talked to in this building.
Literally.
For real.
I remember really wanting to avoid that in a medical setting at all costs, basically, partly because it's hell on earth. And then also partly because I realized I was like, oh, privately, like in my social life, I have been the first non-binary person that anyone's met for like 10 years. I don't want to do it anymore. Like, I really don't want to do it anymore. I remember noticing a real shift. I mean, I guess I don't know when it started happening, but maybe in the last like 2 or 3 years as sort of like mainstream awareness of us in our lives has changed. I remember being a teenager and literally having to do a one-on-one hand holder with everyone I ever spoke to about it. I couldn't tell you exactly when that shifted, but it happened to me once this year where I had to start from scratch with somebody. And I was like, oh, I haven't had to do this in a while. That's funny. When was the last time I had to do this? I don't remember. Oh, good. But also, why is it happening now?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it does feel like non-binary like literacy has like taken off, and that feels so nice.
It's a big relief.
So nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's only going to get better. I feel like there are like so many non-binary children. Like I'm just like, oh, okay, that's like, you know, generations are coming that will sound like so old, being like, I had to explain they them wasn't plural.
I had to tell someone how they would speak if they found somebody's wallet.
Yeah. I love that one.
It's good. It really works.
See?
I always went telemarketer. I was like, if a telemarketer calls during dinner, you say, what do they want? But it's one person on the phone.
Oh, that's concise.
Exactly.
Wow, the way that I'm going to use that for my own mother, who's gotten pretty much every one of those. I'm just like, one of these is going to stick.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. Okay, so another thing that we love to talk about on this podcast is kind of like the terms masculinity and femininity, and how in our just existence we like reject that binary, but let's start with masculinity. Like, what does masculinity mean to you?
It's so funny. I think about this all the time. And a big part of like sort of swimming in like the gender soup for me when I was younger, before I knew what was going on for me, was like people would talk about masculinity and femininity, or people would talk about men and women. And I would just be like, I don't know what the fuck you're saying. I have no idea what you're talking about. For me, it's like masculinity and femininity both are so much about what people think they're looking at rather than what they're actually seeing. Because the second you ask somebody to break it down, it sort of falls apart, or it's like, well, is leadership masculine? It's like, well, no, like not inherently, right? It's like, okay, well, is having long hair feminine? It's like, well, no, you know, because it's like, we've seen like pirates and Vikings and skateboarders, and masculinity and femininity both feel like mirages to me. And when I'm thinking about myself, neither of them stick to me. The kind of masculinity that I understand myself to have, or that I understand myself to be pulled to in terms of my expression, is like masculinity that is feminine. Like the kind of,
yes,
like, it's like stuff that,
we always talk about that on the
itself,
show.
you know? One of my dear friends told me recently that like the last person she saw that really made her think of me was Sam Reid in Interview with a Vampire, as he's playing the star. And I was like, yes, because that's the kind of masculinity I have, which is like,
that was everyone's gender awakening. I feel like
it's like flouncing and theatrical and flamboyant. And sometimes when people look at me, I think they sort of look at me and they're like, oh, but you're kind of feminine still. And it's like, I don't think that's true. Like, because I don't think you can explain what that is. That's not how I feel. But when people look at me and they're like, feminine ? I think what they're noticing is that I'm flamboyant, but they get confused because of like the hair and the estrogen. But like, that's not my fucking problem, you know? And it's just like, masculinity and femininity, like they're two mirrors facing each other. Is there anything actually here at all? Or are we just like doing stuff and looking at each other and trying to find things in common? I don't understand. When people say the word masculinity, I'm always like, what are we talking about? What are you actually saying? And it's the same with femininity too. It reminds me of that quote about like pornography, like from some court proceeding sometime, where a judge said about pornography, like, I couldn't define it, but I know it when I see it.
Oh, yes.
And it's like, okay, so it's nothing. So what? Yeah. It's like, okay, so it's something, but none of us can settle on a definition. It's just vibes, but the vibes change from person to person and situation to situation. But in terms of masculinity and femininity, it's like, okay, but it's also something that you feel comfortable ascribing to me based on like what you think you happen to be looking at when I walk into a room. I don't know, dude.
Yeah. Oh, so it's just vibes.
Yeah. It's just vibes. Vibes. I don't get to pick necessarily. Like, I don't know.
Do you think that same like elusiveness of those terms applies to the terms like masc and femme? Would you say that's the same thing where you're like, what is that? Because I think it like we found in the show, like, you know, it kind of similarly breaks
it does similarly
really quick, and it's like maybe something that queer people put on themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't think it's the same, because I think there is a sort of consciousness and like intentionality to the way a lot of queer people like do gender or like think about gender expression. And
totally,
it's like in trying on how masculinity and femininity sit on all of us, like we spend more time looking at it and more time doing things with it. So it's not like I don't look at masc and femme and think that's nothing in the same way that I look at masculinity and femininity and think that's nothing. But I do think that it's not rigid and not concretely definable in any kind of blanket sense. And also, it's not for everybody. It's not a rubric you can put everybody in, because there isn't one. There isn't a rubric you can put everybody in. And that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
That's the whole point. Yeah.
There's something about the way that you specifically navigate your gender. I feel like having things masc or femme like put on you can be like really aggravating, but I feel like you have like a very calm and collected. Those are kind of annoying words to use for this, but it does feel kind of like effortless and like
Thank you.
ultimately very positive.
Thank you.
Yeah. How do you maintain that? Or what do you do that's kind of like generative in your life? Or is there like logic or reason that you fall back on? Or is it, what's kind of buoying you?
Where do you store your rage?
Well, it's sort of two-pronged, I think, because the calm that's noticeable, I think, or like the sort of peace that I have around it is a kind of zen that I feel noticing other people bringing their baggage to me. If somebody is really struggling to deal with me, I'm just like, oh, isn't that interesting? Because that doesn't say anything about me at all. And it's funny, there's a whole thesis in here somewhere, but people looking at me and trying to figure out, it's like, are you masculine or are you feminine? Or like, but what does it mean about me if you're X? Or like, how can you call yourself X if Y is true about you? And it's like, I'm just hanging out, dude. Like, I'm just sitting. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything at all. And so my presence is disruptive to you, and that is not my problem. So that's where the peace is for me. I'm good. And that's something I've really come into in the last year or so, is like, I've started talking about this more and more, is cis people in particular often imagine like my gender identity to be something that I am dealing with. And that is not true at all. I'm not dealing with anything. You are dealing with it. And you actually are maybe struggling to deal with it. And isn't that interesting? And isn't that what's going on? Because I'm good. I am okay.
Yeah, there's no crisis here.
No.
Actually. It's not a gender crisis.
No,
it's
no,
actually your gender binary
Your
crisis.
gender crisis. And that's what I mean. It's like I notice people bringing their baggage to me. I notice people being confronted with their baggage by like me or people like me being around. And I feel a lot of calm about that, because it's like, oh, well, baby, you should probably work that out. Yeah, it's probably good for you to be thinking about, isn't it? I'm okay. So if I'm okay, you're probably okay too. And everything's good. And everybody just relax. Yeah. You know, it doesn't need to be anyway.
I love that.
That's gorgeous.
There's something about you're not taking what they're up to personally. You're really seeing it like there's so much wisdom there of being like, actually, this has nothing to do with me, even though all your questions are about me. And it seems like your meltdown is about me.
Yeah, it's actually very simple.
Really cool.
It's like, I know who I am and I'm very clear about that. And all I've done is tell you that that's true. There's nothing loaded or contentious about that. That's very simple and calm and good and fine. Why are you freaking out?
Yeah. When you think of the people freaking out, is it literally just like randos who are like, you know, bored? Or like, have you had to have also these conversations with like family? Like, what is that?
I think like that, like what I'm describing, this thing of like, oh, this isn't hard for me, this is hard for you. That sort of crops up from micro to macro, kind of across the board, where it's like hostility and it's fear and it's anxiety. And it's like, it's just sort of all encompassing, where it's like,
totally
somebody telling me that I am mentally ill and being very furious with me about that, who doesn't know me at all. They're having a freak out that's about them. And then when like somebody well-intentioned in my life who loves me dearly, like slips up and misgenders me and then can't deal with the fact that they've done that and really struggle with it for a little bit, that's also about them. That's not about me either, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And obviously those things are not the same, but I do think there is something in common about them, which is like, oh, you're dealing with something. Well, like my experience is bringing something up within you for you that is actually not about me at all.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's really great.
It puts the work on other people.
Exactly.
Also, I think.
Exactly.
Like it puts the emotional work.
And like to varying degrees, if people are struggling with me or like with non-binary identity as a concept, if it's like, oh, I'm gonna fuck up, or like, oh, I might have some questions, or I don't really get it, or whatever it is, what I've started doing is, instead of saying like it's okay, I've started saying like you're okay. It's like, you got it, like you're okay, you know, you'll get it, it's all right.
That's shady as fuck.
Yeah, like it's okay, honey.
No, I love that.
Right?
I love that.
It's like,
no, seriously.
it's really, that's what it's about, is being soothed.
100%.
I don't want to give people the impression that I agree with them, that it's difficult or that it's a burden or that it is something to be dealt with, because that's not true. That's not how I think. What I do think is that like, you're going to be okay. You'll get it. You'll figure it out. You'll be all right. Because that's what it's about, right? Is like you dealing with
Yeah,
it.
totally. Wow, that's great.
Do you have to be Australian to be that chill? Like, how do I get there? How do I get there? I want to be where you're at. That's amazing. That's such a great way of thinking about it, and feels very much, yeah, like the way that you're talking about it, I'm like trying to apply that to so many other realms of my life and like therapy or something where it's like, you know, it's not on you, it's on them. So
Yeah.
that's
Totally.
amazing.
That's like a very
I love the way you're thinking about
boundaried,
that.
I think. Yeah.
Thank you.
That also seems like it would lend itself to having more bandwidth to like advocate and do kind of like progressive work.
Yeah.
If your like day to day doesn't feel so like fraught
Yeah.
with like crises, you know?
Yeah. And there is a real like beautiful piece of that too, which is like once you realize so much of it is about like other people figuring it out and like actually you're okay, then watching other people figure it out becomes quite beautiful. Where it's like, oh yeah, see, that's it. Like amazing. Like see how comfortable it's possible to be, and like thinking about this stuff isn't so scary, and you do get the hang of it, and like maybe you learn some things that like change how you think about the world in a way that's surprising and lovely. And didn't we all get there? Wonderful, you know?
Yeah. And then the book closes and the
Exactly.
credits roll. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, totally.
I think it also ties back to kind of what you were saying at the top of the interview about how what felt comforting for you when you first came out was thinking about
Yeah.
like history. Like it feels like it's moving more from like an individual, like this is all about me and it's all centered in me, towards like more of a bigger picture thing, which is actually like trans people have been
Mhm.
around forever. This is not new. I am not singular. I am connected to all of my trans ancestors. In a thing that can feel often very isolating and singular. It's like such a
Yeah,
nice way
and
to
I
think
think
about it,
Yeah.
you
There's
know?
something in there too about like a lot of the fears that I think a lot of people deal with in terms of like, oh, I have to fucking explain this to everybody over and over, or like I'm facing X amount of logistical obstacles, or like I am having to beg to be understood, or, you know, sometimes in internalizing that, you start to believe that that's true, where it's like, yeah, I know it's hard, or like, I know it's a lot of work, or like, I know it's a big ask. And I think a really big important shift for me was like, it's not hard. It's not a big ask. There's nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely.
It's not challenging. It's okay. This is not only is this not impossible, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Because, and
Absolutely.
connecting to history was such an important piece of that too. It's like, because, yeah, people like me have been around the whole time. Maybe the language changes depending on the place and the culture and the time period and like whatever, but the kinds of people that are around, like every kind of human being you could possibly imagine exists, and then like hundreds more that you couldn't think of if you were left alone in a room for a year. So there is no like people and then default to people. There is no baseline human being. So it's not like this is the way things work, but my thing is a little different and now I have to explain it to you. It's like, no. There's just a bunch of different
Exactly.
ways to be a person. And this is who I am. And it's not hard and it's not impossible. And it's good. It's just true. So it sort of takes the stakes out of it.
I really like your style, and I was wondering if you could walk us through kind of the iterations of that
Yeah, definitely.
and kind of how you got to where you feel, what do you feel most comfortable in currently, and what has that looked like?
I had to sum it up to somebody once fairly recently where I was like, my favorite thing is like the kind of androgyny that pirates or like new romantics have. I love a ruffled shirt. I love
Yeah.
like a well-tailored pant. I love like
It's very Prince.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
Or like Bowie,
Mhm.
you know?
I don't know, I buy pretty much all of my clothes secondhand. Style is quite sensory to me. Like I love like fabric that feels good, that is like cut together nicely, that's stitched well. I like things that I can take care of and keep, that I can hang on to for a long time. I like stuff that's well made. But in terms of like style and shape, it's like soft, androgynous, but like theatrical leaning. I have a lot of vintage trench coats that I can't wear enough because I live in Los Angeles.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's something that allows me to move and allows me to feel like I have some swagger, but like stuff that feels a little bit out of time as well, where it's like the way that these pants are cut is a little bit 40s, but like the color of this shirt is a little bit 70s. Something that could exist out of time almost is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah. I feel like some of the things I'm really interested in wearing don't come in my size, which is like so annoying. Have you just been able to find these things like secondhand, or is it like a pretty big search?
I'm lucky in that, like, I don't struggle with that too much, or haven't historically. I have tended to historically, like, size up myself and wear things that were kind of, like, loose and slouchy, which is funny because some of that was, like, sort of seeking body comfort reaction. Like, I feel more comfortable wearing tighter clothes, having had top surgery now.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like I went through so many fucking fashion cycles. I wore like all black and nothing else for a number of years. I like had a bit of a goth stint as a teenager, and I wore like a lot of clashing prints for a while. But I've always liked buying secondhand stuff. I've always liked having pieces that I can hang on to for a long time. I like stuff that's kind of, it's like this overlap between like versatile basics and also things that could be on stage costumes, where it's like this suit is really well tailored and you could wear it to a bunch of different things, including on stage if you had to. Like, that's kind of the sweet spot for me, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
There's something expressive and
amazing.
flamboyant about it,
Yeah,
but comfortable,
totally.
like so something soft about it at the same time.
Yeah, totally. I wanted to go back to the history, and is there anything specific that you've been really liking and digging into, situating yourself in the history of queerness, of transness as a whole?
Or maybe what you found when you were 16, like what helped you when you were younger too?
I love like either online or in like secondhand bookstores or whatever, like trying to get my hands on like queer books. If you do some digging either like on the Internet Archive or just like Googling around, it's like if you find one thing and you find who wrote it and then you find who their contemporaries were and what they wrote, you can sort of spider web out. And like we live in such a blessed time for connecting information together like that. But I feel like I've been scrabbling through PDFs of stuff for the past year.
Nice.
I got my hands on a copy of like The Persistent Desire, which is like a collection of writings that like butchers and femmes did about each other. And like the earliest one is from the 1800s and the latest one is from like the 90s. It's fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Being like, okay, I should sit down and read like everything that Esper Bergman wrote or like everything that Leslie Feinberg wrote, because a lot of that stuff is available. Like even if the books are out of print, PDFs have been uploaded.
Totally.
Like the information is there. You just have to go digging for it sometimes. The queer archive is so fucking important because you lose what isn't kept and then people will use the loss of it to pretend that it was never there. Even stuff like hanging on to posters of events or like getting your hands on documentaries. I saw a documentary recently called Commitment to Life, which was about the AIDS crisis in Los Angeles specifically and like what the response was specific to the city, and like that being a city that I live in now, like that was really connective. And I just feel like I scrabble. And I feel like that's always what I've done. Like when I was younger, what I remember so much is just like being hunched over my laptop and like Googling around and like ripping stuff and saving it to my computer, or like finding musicians or finding like poetry anthologies or like documentaries or writings and just being like, oh, okay, everybody's here, everything is here, but it's not necessarily going to be put in front of me. So I am going to have to go digging for it. And then it's important to me to like keep that stuff, have it around and be able to recommend it to other people because it just lifts everyone up.
Totally. Yeah, I want to talk to some queer archivists on this podcast for sure. Because I'm like, yeah, I really respect that work so much. And sometimes I feel really silly when people tell me about stuff that exists. And I'm like, I had no idea, and it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of deep cut, but it really shouldn't be.
Yeah, but I don't think it is silly to not have had access to it before or to not have been put in touch with it before. It's like when a friend of yours hasn't seen a movie you love and it's like the reaction isn't like, you've never seen it. The reaction is like, oh my God, you get to see the movie.
Yeah.
It's that. It's like, how could you not know about this? It's like, no, this helps no one. Isn't it now exciting that you get to learn about this?
Yeah, totally.
I'm like in a PhD program, and that's such a researcher impulse that you have. That's so fucking cool. Where do you find the time? You're doing everything. That's amazing.
Thank you. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, speaking of that, actually, Babette, I feel like something that people don't realize is that you can go onto the websites of any university you can think of and find the course listing and the required reading. And there are a lot
yeah.
of queer graduate programs or whatever, you know, and you can find these like incredible book lists that maybe will be kind of hard to go through on your own, like without like
Right.
a literal like teacher there. But it's kind of great like primer if you find these kind of like intro to gender, intro to
Yeah.
queer thoughts.
I think it's also what Liv said. I feel like it's so much more also about like the social webs of connection that like form out of these like texts and stuff.
Totally.
So like even if you're not reading it, it's just like so nice to know how queer people and trans people have always been connected.
Yeah, it's really important.
Totally.
And it's so important to remember too that like just because something hasn't been put in front of you doesn't mean it isn't there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to go scrounging around for stuff, but there is
Absolutely.
real reward in doing that, even if you're not sure where to start.
Yeah. The truth is out there, Liv Hewson.
Yeah, it literally is.
Wow. I feel like Liv is a whole ass philosopher. And that was like a whole philosophical intervention. Like that whole interview.
Yeah. Can we talk about how we both really want to be in Liv's book club?
Yes. Oh my God. Sign me up, dude. That would be so sick. I was like, you know, as we were talking with them, like Googling furiously, like all of everything that they were talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sign me the fuck
I
up.
love a conversation with someone that like fills your notes app and you're just like, oh gosh, I gotta look this person up.
Exactly.
You know, I was just like, oh, they were so generative in such a sick way.
They are just, oh my God, so calm and collected. And like when they were talking about coming out at 16, like that feeling of, oh my God, this is gonna make my life complicated and difficult. Like the dread that so many queer people feel about coming out feels like so deeply relatable. I was like, it's so sad that queer people don't get to feel excited about coming to a certain part of their identity. But it was so amazing to hear them talk about how they think of like gender and queerness as expanse and like possibility. And like I love that turn that they made that was like basically putting the work on like cis people to get their shit together, like kind of putting trans and queer people like, no, we're not on the outskirts. Like we are marginalized, but we're not like on the outskirts. Like we are the center of our own universes, and cis people need to kind of get it together. It's not on us, it's on them. And so that is like life changing for me. That was so amazing.
There's like a meditation retreat that I go on that's like kind of intense and like silent, but one of the like teachings in it that really changed my life is so similar to this. But the teacher kind of talks about how anger is like a gift that someone is like bringing to you in your house, and you're allowed to be like, oh no, take that with you when you leave. Oh no, thank you. Like they're holding this thing that they want so badly to stuff into your hands, but you're allowed to be like, no, like you have to maintain holding that. Like I'm not going to hold that for you.
Totally.
It's very zen.
Absolutely. I would love to get to that level of zenness at some point. I mean, I think it's just so hard. I want to embody that kind of philosophy in all the spaces that I'm in, where like sometimes like I'm the only like trans or non-binary person, and like it feels hard to like embody that in spaces where you're always feeling like you're kind of being marginalized. I feel like when I'm by myself, I'm like, yes, I am the center of the universe. You guys can't tell me anything. But, you know, to have to like every day, you know, like correct people's pronouns, correct like people's stuff. Like, I just think I think that is something like the way that Liv described it, like it's something that I really want to like aspire to, even like when it's difficult. You know, for me, I think what I do is like, if someone she hears me, I'm just like, oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. Like, that's my way of coping with it. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter. But like, no, it does. And it's not that difficult. And like, you need to get it together.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do I become like Liv? Like that's what I'm kind of thinking of right now. Like that's so amazing.
Yeah, I think there's like a raising of the bar of expectation there. That's really cool. Like the bar is literally on the floor. If we're kind of like, wow, they apologized for
exactly
whatever, you know, yeah.
No, exactly. Like I'm so grateful that like people or like families like not being evil to me. And it's like the bar's in hell.
The bar is in hell.
And like we need to raise the bar, because also like this isn't new. Like I think that's like, you know, turning to history, turning to like a queer archive. It's just like none of this is new, and Yeah, I literally don't know how Liv has the time to be an actor as well as like a philosopher and a scholar. And an
They were
archivist.
holding a
Like,
quill the whole time. I know the audience wasn't able to see that, but it was like a large feather quill.
Exactly.
I really like that because it kind of gives, I don't know, you're trusting people to go with you further. I feel like when you raise the bar for the people around you, like you
Yes.
can have deeper relationships with them because you're trusting them to get there. I don't know. I just feel like I've felt that from people when I can tell that they're expecting more from me. And when they're kind of like, okay, it stops here. I'm not putting up with as much and I'm kind of like expecting more out of everybody. Like I think people really rise to the occasion and it's kind of giving them a really cool benefit of the doubt.
Totally. It's moving from a place of like scarcity to like allowing abundance and
Yes.
possibility. I've learned for myself in all realms of my life, like, you know, if you kind of come in with scarcity, that's actually kind of what you'll get.
Yes.
Usually, actually, you know.
Self-fulfilling
So I think,
prophecy, totally.
yeah, low key.
Yeah.
Gender Spiral is an original podcast from Audiation. This episode was mixed by Matt Noble, and music is composed by Chanel Critchlow, with art by Joey Hahn and graphics by Honey Hodges. This show is executive produced by Ireland Meacham, myself, Babette Thomas, my co-host Allie Beardsley, and Sandy Smollins, with additional story editing from me.
Thank you so much to our guest, Liv Hewson. If you like the show, please head over to patreon.com/genderspiralpodcast to support us for $2 a month or subscribe to a higher tier for bonus content, special monthly postcards, and even free tote bags.
You can also check us out at genderspiralpod.com, where you'll find a link to leave us a voicemail to ask us questions, tell us who you want to hear from, and what you want to hear about on the show. And follow us on Instagram. It's at Gender Spiral. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast to stay tuned. We're releasing a brand new episode every single week this summer,
Tune in next week to Gender Spiral.
where you never have to spiral alone.